So I ran out of great ideas for intros. I had like two, then I ran out. So I brought back the invisible bottle. Yeah, never get enough of that thing. If you're wondering why I'm always in somewhere with a weird backdrop, it's because you're meant to guess where I am in the world and you get 30 minutes of my time for nothing. Does this help? This building's kind of cool. Where am I? That's your guess. This is my top tip for the week from a life learning and content standpoint. If you've got a DSLR camera and you're not using it to create content, even like what I'm doing with the green screen and all that sort of stuff, you're using a webcam or whatever it might be, plug it in. All you need is a thing called a cam link. Elgato make them, lots of other places make them as well. You literally plug it in your computer, use an HDMI cable straight to the camera, and all of a sudden, you've got wonderful content that's far nicer to look at than my old, what I thought was kind of half decent webcam, which turns out it's not half decent. I had this camera the whole time, didn't use it. Foolish. What was I thinking? Now you can count all the hairs in my beard, my eyebrows, and on my head, and that's great, I guess. Whatever you're into. Anyway, this week we're talking about growing your podcast in terms of listeners. How do you get it out there? How do you get more exposure for your podcast? Lots of people are trying to figure this out. They're trying to crack the nut because it's not always that easy. There's 470 million podcast listeners in the world. That's a lot of listeners. The market size is $24 billion. The real question is, one, how do we get those listeners in our podcast? And two, how do we get that $24 billion? These few tips might help. You might already know them. If you don't, it'll be useful for you. So the market's flooded. You need unique content. You need a well-delivered message, and you need great value for the listener. They're all key aspects. So think about that. You've got a podcast. Run those three things through your head. Is it unique content? Is it a well-delivered message? And is it great value for the listener? So let's talk about getting it out there. You need to tell everyone. Tell everyone in reality. Tell everyone online. Just simply tell everybody. Use social media as your friend. Use sound bites. Share the episode links. Follow other podcasts. Like other podcasts. Drive engagement by getting involved in social media using your content and also engaging in other people's content. If you want to take your exposure up a notch, you can also do paid advertising through these platforms. So think about that more. You can spend as little as you like or as much as you like. And you want to think about what kind of content do I want to pay for people to see? You've got to think about it with podcasting. It's not necessarily an ad as such, but you can pay to get more impressions, to get your content exposed in front of more people, to get your podcast name out there, and then other people are going to see. You can literally spend like $2 or $3 a day if you want to, or you can spend $10,000 a day. That's the good thing about particularly paid advertising on social media, is you can choose how little or how much you want to spend. Be a guest on other people's podcasts. If you like their stuff, if they got lots of audience, and you've got alignment in terms of what type of stuff you want to talk about, then ask them, hey, can I come on your show? They might let you have a little shout out for your own show. They might want to come on your show. It's kind of like podcast networking. It's all really good and fun. If you can, release as often as possible. It's good for algorithms, even if the content is like 2 minutes. Some of the most famous podcasts in New Zealand, they release literally daily, and they do like 2 to 5 minutes. The algorithm, like I said before, it loves it. It loves it when you're doing lots of content. It loves it when you're exposing more people to your stuff. So it'll reward you by putting it organically in front of other people. Interview high-profile guests because they've got great organic reach. So, for example, interview a politician. It's good timing to be interviewing politicians. They want to talk about their stuff. They want to talk about their policies. They want to talk about all that stuff so they can get votes. But also, those people have got a huge following already. So get them on. Maybe talk about politics if that's what your content's all about. And then, away you go. You can let their listeners and their audience turn into your audience, which is always fun. Have a call to action. So in a podcast, hey, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It doesn't have to be long. Don't make it the generic shit. Like, give me a like, give me a subscribe, make it funny, make it engaging. Be different. Remember, nowadays, you have to be different. There's so many podcasts. It is flooded. But you can still do well if you nail down your niche. Use Patreon. This is something that I'm pushing more and more people to do with bonus content. So let's say, for example, you release one episode a week. Honestly. When you're recording content and someone calls you, this is the guy who tells people to turn their... Unbelievable. I'm continuing anyway. I'm cracking on. I feel like I'm going strong here, and I'm going to finish with a whirl. And now the camera stopped working. So you know how I was telling you about this great new camera? It just turned itself off mid-content. Phone rang immediately after. Camera turned off. We're on a roll. So anyway, Patreon. Use Patreon. It's really good. It's awesome for example, if you release one piece of content a week and you want to do bonus content that you can get people to pay for, then Patreon is the way to do that. It's basically a platform where people can just support things that they enjoy. So podcasts are using it a lot for, say, hey, would you be prepared to give us $5 a month just to help support our progress and give us something for our time and show that we are adding value to you? Then they have different packages. So for example, I have listened to a language podcast and they have different packages and different levels of exposure and value and content based on how much you spend each month. So explore that. It's super easy to set up, and then you can use it as your call to action. Hey, go check out our Patreon, get on board and help support us. Literally, like a lot of people who get value from your content will go, all right, sweet, I'm happy to give up a cup of coffee once a month. If you get 10,000 of those, that's a lot of money in the bank. Podcasting is making a lot of money from Patreon. Some of them are doing unbelievably well. They sell merchandise. They do all sorts of things through Patreon. So check that out. And the last thing is you can get a sponsor, but most sponsors want around 3,000 to 5,000 episodes per listen. So just consider that. Think about that before you start approaching, or maybe people will start approaching you when you get to that many listeners. This is food for thought. Let this sink in. You look at your listens, you go, I'm not that happy with that. 30, 50, 100 per episode. If you get more than 30 downloads in the first 7 days of an episode coming out, you're in the top 50% of podcasts in the world. Just think about that for a second. You're in the top 50% if you're getting more than 30 downloads in the first 7 days of an episode coming out. That's not that many. So when you get down, think about that. And also, if you're getting 1,200, which is kind of the other end of the stick I wanted to go to, if you're getting 1,200 listens in the first 7 days, which some of my clients and people that I work with are getting, you're in the top 5% in the world. Think about that. 1,200 listens, you're in the top 5% of all podcasts in the world. Boom! If that's not good, I don't know what's good. Have a great day, everyone. I'm looking forward to seeing you all next week. Guess where I am in the world? Does that help? And you get stuff. Be good. Use a DSLR camera like I do and hope that it doesn't turn off mid-content. Bye.